Today's episode is sponsored by the very awesome 6 Feet from the Spotlight. Hello and welcome back to Film Pro Productivity and Success, the podcast that helps film professionals and other creative people to live a more focused, effective and happy life. My name is Carter Ferguson and this is episode 74, Why You Must Get Comfortable Being Uncomfortable. Don't get too comfortable with who you are at any given time. You may miss the opportunity to become who you really want to be. Jon Bon Jovi, unquote. How many times do you avoid crucial conversations that you need to have, that you know you need to have, just because they will be uncomfortable? I get great anxiety over things that I know have to be said, and sometimes I worry about them for days and weeks and months sometimes. And sometimes, even when I eventually have the conversation, I don't say all that I want to because I'm still anxious about fully voicing difficult matters, or maybe I'm afraid of the reaction that I might get. Inevitably, though, when the conversation is over, when the situation is past and all has been said and done, I do feel better for it and I can move on. You see, once you start riding your feelings of discomfort, those difficult conversations will become much easier. If you can embrace discomfort in your life and in your work, you can begin to achieve anything you want to. The 19th century preacher Charles Spurgeon once said that easy roads make sleepy travellers. And the truth is, of course, that many of us prefer the easy road simply because, well, it is easy. The easy path, however, and this is my point here, is not always the right path. Tony Robbins, who I really don't quote from nearly enough on this show, sums it up when he points out that all growth starts at the end of your comfort zone, unquote. Life is not only about creating safety and security and pursuing contentment, although these things are important. By focusing only on the comfort side of life, though, we cut ourselves off from the full range of human experience and the knowledge, the skills and empathy that can come with the other side. In an article for Psychology Today, Bob Rosen, PhD, says that humans possess a natural inclination to stick with the status quo, resist the unknown, and stay comfortable. It's tied to our ancestral drive to survive, he says, and it makes us afraid to try new things. I'd also add that it stops us, as our lives proceed, from trying things that we used to do, but which we have fallen out of the habit of doing. We avoid change, dodge the uncomfortable, and as a result, we don't push ourselves to the next level and we miss out on things that could benefit us. In today's fast-moving world, if we want to stay on top, we must reprogram our instincts and become comfortable being uncomfortable. When you only play safe and refuse to take risks and steer clear of difficult situations, you fail to challenge yourself or others to greater performance and a better life. Floating through life without purpose or drive or focus is the antithesis of productivity and success. We're back again at what I talk about in episode 1 and in previous episodes this season. It's high-level thinking, isn't it? This is just something else that you can learn to control. The process of reprogramming your mindset isn't going to be easy though, so here are some tips on how to embrace the uncomfortable. I saw a lot of recommendations for this online when I was researching, and I'll be linking to some of those in the show notes as usual, but the best information I found came from an article by Sujan Patel in Forbes magazine. I quote from that article here often. It says, "First, get a clear head. Sometimes all you really need to do to gain focus and minimise discomfort is to do a brain dump. Get your ideas out of your head onto paper where you can physically see them. That helps you to relieve and clear your mind. And regular listeners will know that this is something that I recommend often and that I very much favour whiteboards for this practice. And this is always a good place to start when you're beginning any endeavour. If you can become aware of what you are thinking by sifting through your thoughts as they lie written in front of you, you can ask yourself questions like, is this true? Or how do I know this? And you can basically get to the truth of the matter at hand. You can also cross off stuff that's just completely irrelevant. Sometimes your head is just filled with junk. I did an episode called Episode 18, I think it is, and it's protecting your mental energy, and I talk about it specifically in this one. Got there in the end. Episode 18, I'm pretty sure it is. It's a good one. In his book, Linchpin, Are You Indispensable?, Seth Godin writes, discomfort brings engagement and change. Discomfort means that you're doing something that others are unlikely to do because they're hiding out in the comfortable zone. When your uncomfortable actions lead you to success, the organisation rewards you and brings you back for more. The next recommendation is that you must identify the source of your discomfort. And what they're talking about here is very likely to be some form of anxiety. It's possibly completely evident to you what the source of your discomfort is, but what you might not be able to immediately recognise is why you are feeling the way that you are. What is it about this situation that's triggering the feelings? Are you terrified of technology or of talking to new people? Are you frightened about learning new things? Forbes talks very much in business terms in this article I'm referring to, but again, I urge you to embrace this business-like type of thinking if you're a creative professional. Change really can be a difficult pill for us to swallow sometimes, especially when the business that you started that's been operating just fine and growing suddenly needs to adapt. And this, of course, takes me right back to the flexibility I discussed in the first episode of this season. If you can identify the source of your discomfort, then you can begin to tackle that problem. Dr. Martin Seligman, founder of positive psychology, says, "It's not our failures that determine our future success, but how we explain them to ourselves." Forbes next suggests that you reflect. You must think about another time when something you did brought up similar feelings of discomfort. How did that play out for you? Did you ignore it until it became a huge problem? Did you feel better once it was resolved? Learn from these experiences. This is your opportunity to celebrate the small wins too that you've previously had and remind yourself of the growth that can come from a previously uncomfortable situation. I've never had a millionaire entrepreneur say they hit it right on the first time, says Steve Siebold, whose book How Rich People Think is a culmination of 30 years of interviews. The bigger they are, the more they've typically failed. And I often listen to podcast interviews with successful people, millionaires, etc., and what comes across in almost every instance is how often these successful people have failed before they finally came out on top. Fail your way to the top is a very common theme. They learn from their failures to counter discomfort, to move forward and finally take the plunge despite feelings of uncertainty and doubt. So you must think of failure as an asset. As long as you're learning from your mistakes, then you are moving in the right direction. Finally, Sujan Patel urges you to take the plunge. And if you feel uncomfortable, then you're ultimately doing something right. But toe dipping outside of your safe space never really gets things going. You need to dive in head on and fully immerse yourself. That might be more stressful, but there's no better way to get the process going so you move beyond that one thing that is holding you back. Look back to, as well, episode 8, I think it is, which is the 5-second rule. If you have trouble taking that first step, that plunge, the 5-second rule is a great way to get round it. Mark Zuckerberg says the biggest risk is not taking any risk. In a world that's changing really quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking any risks. When you're serious about productivity in your life and work and career, you soon become aware of a common mantra which relates to all of this. There are no secrets to success. It's the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. Learning how to become comfortable with being uncomfortable will help you to manage difficult emotions and embrace difficult situations. Not all discomfort is a good thing, but intelligently choosing your risks with a higher level of thinking will put you in control of them. Ultimately, you have to find the courage, awareness, and understanding that will allow you to see problems and hurdles for what they are, opportunities to grow and learn. Thanks for joining me here today and investing in yourself once again. If you've enjoyed the show, I'd be very grateful if you would take the time to leave a rating or a review perhaps on whatever app it is that you use to listen to podcasts on. That's the one thing that really makes a difference to podcast listener numbers and bumps the show up in rankings at the same time. I really appreciate your listening though, whether you're a long-term follower of the podcast or this is your first time here. Today's sponsor is 6 Feet from the Spotlight, who I've been following on Twitter for a long time now. I even have the wee notification button hit on them too, as they are always posting and reposting terrific stuff. They provide training for crew in the positive management of mental health and well-being on productions, as well as helping productions improve the mental health of crew through practical initiatives, including providing a well-being facilitator. Check out 6feetfrom.org if you'd like to find out more, and the spelling of that is 6, the number 6, FTFROM.org, 6FTFrom.org if you want to find out more. I was so pleased though when Matt reached out to sponsor the show, as they are genuinely doing great things, and I'll obviously put all of the links in the show notes, including to their podcast Mental Health in Film. Next week's episode is part 1 in a 2-part series about a book that you will all have heard of. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I hope you will join me here again for that. But let me end today with a quote from M. Scott Peck, the psychiatrist who wrote the best-selling book, The Road Less Travelled, who said, "The truth is that our finest moments are most likely to occur when we are feeling deeply uncomfortable, unhappy, or unfulfilled. For it is only in such moments, propelled by our discomfort, that we are likely to step out of our ruts and start searching for different ways and truer answers." Now take control of your own destiny. Keep on shooting, and join me next time on Film Pro Productivity and Success. The music that you can hear right now is Adventures by Ehimitsu. You can view the show notes for this episode on the official website, only on the official website, in fact, at filmproproductivity.com. That's where you'll get a full transcript. Follow my personal accounts on Twitter and Instagram at fight_director, or the show itself on Twitter at FilmProProdPod, or on Facebook at FilmProProductivity. Please support the show by subscribing, spreading the word, and leaving an awesome review.